One thing about restaurants like this is that they're known for having good food. Look, you've got one menu on the wall. You can get the fish, any fish you want, as long as it's the fish we're grilling. Yeah. We don't even know it's mystery fish. Ah. I know what that is.
Oh, that is spicy.
That's got some heat. All these little chili peppers. It is actually exceptional. That is great. I'm loving that.
How is that a panchan? It's like a meal. If you go to the UK, you buy that for like, these man on. Oh my days. Oh my gosh, wow. I feel like I've just arrived home.
Back in the UK?
Just anywhere. It's just got that home feel.
Ah, yeah. I guess that's a really good comparison. We talk about these sikdangs, and it's kind of like Korean soul food.
Right.
A lot of it's like, you know, mum's home cooking kind of flavour to it. You know, they're not trying to reinvent the wheel at all. I guess that's what makes it so good.
Oh my gosh.
But you have to think about, like, price point's really good. 7,001.
Yeah.
You're not getting much of a meal for 7,001 these days.
No.
Like this kind of side dishes. I'm content. This is good.
This is great. I actually feel terrible that I've never been here before. For someone like me who's only lived in Korea for a couple of years, I feel like I need a stepping stone often.
If you're driving a taxi and you're on the road all day,
Yeah.
you don't want to just eat anything. You want to eat something that's good, that's delicious.
Yeah.
There's certain areas that seem to have those types of restaurants just because a lot of taxi drivers are going backwards and forwards. And it's usually something that you can get in and out quickly.
Right.
Like they're not sitting down for 30 minutes an hour to have a meal.
Right. I mean, how long have you, is it 18 years you lived here?
2002, yeah. Almost 18 years.
Oh my days.
I was here for the World Cup.
Oh my
If
gosh.
that makes any sense. I remember down in the middle of Gwanghwamun, you know they've got those big TVs on the top of the buildings that show ads. So I remember watching, I watched the game versus Poland, the game versus America on those streams. They had the vuvuzelas.
What?
The vuvuzelas, those horns, yeah. And I remember my lips were bleeding at the end of one day because I'd blown it so much. I vaguely remember people getting on top of buses at the end of one of the wins. Yeah. Wow. It was mayhem, but it was electric mayhem that was just... You know what it's like living in Korea? You have a sea of red. And everyone was wearing... It was Be the Reds. They had these red t-shirts on. It was an amazing time to be here.
I can't imagine the sense of pride, you know, in your country in that moment. Like, recently, one of our videos, Dan talked to one of his friends she's an older lady who does cardboard. I felt proud of the achievements of this country, you know. I felt proud of the recognition that Korea's kind of got, and like living in, you know, coming to a place like this and feeling just, I don't know, it was so welcoming, even just walking in and just like...
Korea is a country you can't compare to any other country in the world based on the fact that after the war, North Korea was living better than South Korea. That stadium by the Shilla Hotel, the Changchun Stadium, that was donated to Korea by the Philippine government.
No way.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
In 70 years, what this country has done economically is unheard of. It's unheard of. I studied business at university. It doesn't make sense. It's not logic. But they've been able to pull it off and maintain it.
Yeah.
Which I think it says a lot about a culture and a race of people.
Yeah.
And you can't help but admire that.
It's phenomenal. I mean, even for me living here in the 2 years, like it still feels like this consistent. What's it called? Chebal? Ke-chebal?
Che-chebal. Please, dog. Don't do me like that, dog. Redevelopment.
Redevelopment, yeah.
Yeah. So there's so much redevelopment that's happening here on a continual basis. I'm not sure if that's something I'm particularly taken with because you have to destroy history to make the future.
Yeah.
There needs to. I personally, I wish there was a bit more of a balance.
Me and Dan, it was a year and a half ago almost, we explored Hongdae 시장. And that was something that I moved house and I went to buy avocados, found this 시장. I was like, oh my gosh, this place, whoa. It's like, okay, this is different. We went and explored it, spent a bit of time in that place, and we spoke to some people and they were talking about regeneration, and it felt like there was almost like a wound. I guess after the war, a lot of things were destroyed, and so there was a rebuild.
Yeah.
But those things still have that, I don't know, there's a weird sense of identity. People would say, oh, we're just a small country, you know, oh, but look what we've done. But yeah, just remember we're small and, you know, oh, we were very poor. And then they were like, we don't want to remember that. But I think that's a really interesting thing, like...
My personal opinion on history is not every part of history is positive.
Yeah.
Not everything's good about history. There's a lot of bad things that happen in history. The important part is that it's history and that we'll remember the good that was part of the bad that was part of the good.
Right.
Because there are some places in the world that want to rewrite history and they want to make sure that there's only good things in history.
Right.
Which is not what history is at all.
Right.
History's a record.
Yeah.
You can't change your history
Yeah.
if you did something to someone.
Sure.
I can ignore that and go on my way and maybe never see you again.
Yeah.
But in a perfect society, I need to be able to admit that I did something wrong that potentially hurt you, insulted you, and then apologise for the fact. I mean, you've got to look at a country like Germany and say, you know,
Sure.
they admitted to it, and you know that's what people want to hear.
Yeah. Well, without that, you're basically taking away the right to someone's
Dignity.
but redemption.
Yeah.
Like to say that actually we did this, it was wrong, but we believe that we can make it right.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know if we can make it right, but that in and of itself is sometimes enough.
I mean, for some people, an apology is all it takes, and it's admitting guilt to some extent.
Yeah.
You have to admit that you've done something wrong, and then you have to apologise. But you know, we can't be the mind, body, and soul for everyone in the world.
Yeah. But I think like even just on that point, like coming from me coming from London, multicultural London, you know, the idea of like people just basically choose to do what they want. And then coming to Korea, and I feel like well, like the individual isn't the main thing; it's the collective. Like you were saying before with the.
I mean, it's also like for me, it's something I still struggle with to some extent. Is like the collectivism, because for a lot of Koreans, that's part of their culture. You go to the army as a male, you're living in barracks with another, you know, couple of hundred men. You're sharing the same room with, you know, 6 to 12 men, which means you're sharing bathroom facilities. There's so much that you have to share with people that you've never met before. And that takes a lot. Coming from where I'm from, I'm used to having my own personal space, and if anyone gets in my own personal space, I kind of freak out a little bit. I have to admire people that do it well, because it's about give and take. I think it's just a different mindset. We talk about how the country's developed. You look at a perfect example is when the IMF crisis hit, which is the financial crisis. The International Monetary Fund came in and saved them. What a lot of Koreans were doing at the time, they were bringing in their personal collection of gold necklaces, gold bracelets, and giving them to the government. Could you imagine that happening in the UK or in Australia? No. My personal wealth, giving it for the benefit of the country.
You've been here your whole adult life. I know your life's here, so it's a bit of a strange question to say, oh, could you see some movie, this, that, and the other. Like, what is Korea to you? What is it for you?
The amazing thing I find about this country is it's still so unpredictable. Even though I know it so well, at times it just blows my mind. You'll come across a food that you've never experienced before and you're like, why haven't I've lived here for 20 years, how have I not had this? Or you walk down a street and you're like, I've never seen this place before, why do I not know this? Or you'll go home for 2 or 3 weeks and you'll come back and you'll find the building that was across the street from where you used to live is no longer there, and there's a fresh new building with a brand new coffee shop. And part of that's the work ethic.
Yes.
There are certain positives that come from that. That's something that a lot of people in the West could certainly learn from. I tend to think I have learned from it. Like, in my line of work, I'll do long hours and it's almost expected now. And if I only think about myself, these other 49 people that are involved in the project, if they don't get it finished, they may not get paid and they may have families to go back to. I think you become a lot more empathetic to other people's plights. And I find that in the working environment, it's a lot more like that. It's like, hey, we've got a job to do.
Yeah.
We've got to finish this. It's not one person over anyone else.
Like coming from London, and I feel so liberated in that sense. I feel like that part of Korean culture has liberated me from my entitlement.
You know, if I can do something that benefits other people in the community and brings their level of happiness up, I'm doing things right.
Thanks so much for sharing this lovely meal and teaching me like.
Hey,
제대로 어떻게.
we also shared some fish. Yeah,
was great.
not fish sticks, real fish.
Real
Yeah.
fish.